Oxidative stress doesn't have to exist because your body can neutralize oxidation by glutathione. It eliminates toxic chemicals, metabolites, heavy metals outside your liver and get rid of it. It's like a garbage disposal for the body. But if you don't have enough, over time you'll develop stress. And that's the root cause of all evil or all diseases in the body. The technology that we have developed, it can get straight from your skin to any part of your body.
If a person is very low in glutathione and very low in NAD, which is very typical as a person is aging, is there a phase where you could replete faster and then drop back down to a maintenance dose?
The body does recycle glutathione. And so the key is
So I am here today with Dr. Nayan Patel, and we are going to have a very deep conversation. And Dr. Patel has depth, experience. He's been on the ground dealing with people directly and has come up with some very fabulous things. The first thing I'd like to start with is your story, where you are right now, and then how did you get here? What was your inflection point, and what was the journey looking like?
Physically, I'm here in Southern California. I started my journey I was born in Zambia, Africa, and moved there was no education system over there. So my parents shipped me out to India at a boarding school my whole life for just having better education. From there, sent me to the United States in California, and I never left the state after that. So I'm here today. Physically, my journey started in Zambia to India to California, and I'm still here. But I'm assuming that you're asking me a different question is spiritually or intellectually, where are you right now and how do you get here? I'm not sure if that's a question or not a physical question.
The work you're doing ended up becoming very profound. You're at the top of your game in the space that you occupy. And this is very unique, very rare for someone to ascend where you've gone to already. And I was just wondering on the natural health space, because you support human health at such a high level. Obviously, that ties into spiritual, mental, emotional health as well. But the physical health thing, the attributes you've gained to share is what I'm really interested in.
Absolutely. So my journey started back in the pharmacy school when I first graduated in Southern California from pharmacy. When you're in one of the schools that are top in the nation, you expect there's an expectation from the population that, hey, if you graduate from the top universities in the United States, you should be on your top of your game. You should know your stuff, and you should be out there healing and helping the world. And I was with the same mentality. I graduated, and really quickly I learned that I was only going to manage people's problem, and I'm not going to solve any problems. That's not how the whole system is so set up in such a way that it's designed to work in the system and manage people's problem, because that's what supports a pharmaceutical system. And that was not something that I was ready for. Quickly, I realized that, and what the first thing that kind of nicked me in the butt was financially was not viable. You cannot be financially stable by just picking up the few pennies here and there for managing people's problems. I said, the real money for me was in helping people, and they're willing to pay for it. And so I broke the line where everybody was following and step aside, and I was by myself on the side. And I said, hey, you know what? I'll help people with the medication needs and see if that leads me anywhere. And when I started doing that, most of my customers, they are very well off. They came to us and said that, hey, do you got something for anti-aging? This was the term back in the late 90s, okay? I didn't coin that term. Do you have something for anti-aging? I said, what do you mean by anti-aging? Oh, I want a reverse aging process. I said, I don't know how to do that. If I knew, then I would not be peddling drugs right at this point for the pharmaceutical companies. And while that question, I didn't have an answer for it, I started looking up and trying to figure out, I said, what is that? What is something that I can do that can change people's lives forever? And the only thing that I come up with is that, hey, all the medications in the world is not solving any problems. Maybe we'll be looking somewhere else for medication needs when the real chemistry, real pharmacy, real medications is inside your own body. And so that was my first aha moment 25 plus years ago. I said, I should be looking inwards and try to figure out how does the body comes back to homeostasis every single day? Because you're exposed to chemicals, you're exposed to toxicity, you're exposed to the environment, and the body kind of brushes everything off and bring back to homeostasis, right? How does it do that? And so that's when my research started, and like every single thing, I had to work with the most abundant molecule produced in the human body, that was glutathione. And over the 25 years, first 7 years was just went into stabilizing the molecule outside the human body. That was my first research done. When I achieved that in 2007, I had to spend another 14 more years trying to figure out how much to give you, how often to give you. Am I going to get any issues? Can I give you long term? Can I give you, is it short term? Am I going to get any outcomes? Am I going to reverse any issues? Am I going to reverse the aging process? Am I going to bring the stagnations? Whatnot, right? So that took me another 14 more years. And I would have gone for another few more years for more trials. Like everything else, something has to end and something has to be released apart to the open market. When 2020 hits with the onset of pandemic around the world, I was called upon to release the product to the open public as soon as possible. It took me another year to release the product, but 2021, when we came to the market, but my journey did not start in 2021. My journey started in 1999. And that I'm here today educating because over the last 25 years, the things I have learned, how many lives have changed, how the human body is capable of not just surviving, but to literally reversing back to original form. That to me was the most enlightening information that I've ever accumulated so far.
Yeah, because the body will distort as time goes on, as people age and they don't know how to maintain their health. And the pollution from the air alone, we breathe 11,000 liters of air a day, and that has tire dust and brake dust and all these different, like, massive amount of nanoparticles that you can't see, taste, or smell unless you're standing right by the highway. But you're breathing it. And everybody wonders, I get older, I get disease and I got problems. And it's all based upon what you're breathing, not just what you're eating. Of course, the food's important and supplementation, all that stuff. But what you're talking about is bringing like a master antioxidant to the table that will allow the body to more efficiently detox, deal with all these contaminants. And so the mechanism, you started learning about glutathione, and then you've come to a point where you're able to apply that to the body supplementally in a very unique fashion. Because I've seen all kinds of glutathione supplements out there, precursors to you name it, to whatever. And ones that you put sublingual and they got all this different technology. But this one is very strong. And how did you land on that, where you put it into your skin, like the one that I use every day?
I just want to let people know that I'm not as smart as people think I am. But what I am is I'm a good observer. And in science, you don't have to be the smartest guy. You have to be a great observer, because all the great discoveries in the world has only happened because people observe something happen in their life. And that's what happened to me with glutathione. Because with my conscious mind, I was making a product that's going to change the world. But my belief structure was so narrow that my goal was just to stabilize a molecule and get inside your body, either my mouth or my nose or my suppository or my injection some way. And you're hoping that by doing so, the body knows what to do with it. Because the body is so smart that it knows that, hey, this is good for me, so I'm going to absorb it. No, it did not work that way. Before the body gets a chance, there's so many defensive systems set up into a body that nothing gets into the system to be absorbed until your gut or your enzymes or your acid has a first take it, and it basically destroys everything for you. It destroys everything. And so I learned the harsh reality is that when I have a molecule like glutathione enter into the body by various forms, I even made eye drops, ear drops, nose sprays, sublingual tablets, and injectable glutathione, suppositories, inhaled solutions for athletes. You can name it, I have made it, right? Nothing was working. Nothing was working. Because every single orifice or an entry point in your body has a filter built in there to basically destroy every single thing and just make sure that our body only gets bits and pieces of it. Only thing left was skin. And skin, it's a major defense. Everybody's scared of skin because it's a physical barrier. Nothing just gets through the skin. But once it gets through your skin, there are no other barriers, so to speak, to destroy the molecule. And so I said, okay, if that's the case, if I can figure out a way to get through your skin, then I have a chance to basically hit the cells. Because if I go any other route, the body just destroys every single thing. And so even though I was not planning to make a skincare product or a topical product, that's the only choice I had. And so anyway,
very cool.
Yeah, and it's not like I was planning for topical product either, by the way, because topically, if somebody had figured already these things out, we'd have multiple products available in the marketplace today. But this physical barrier of your skin is so big that nothing gets through it. And so my first goal was, hey, this is it's a big molecule, but it's not so big that nothing gets through it. It's not like this is a small ring and you have a basketball or beach ball size molecule that's going to go to a small ring. It's not that big. In my lab, when we were researching originally, we quickly realized that by changing the structure or twisting the molecule itself shrunk the size.
Yeah. Because
protein enveloping methods, it's good in theory, but in practicality, it's not easy to do. And so since glutathione is just a tri-amino acid, just a 3 amino acid chain, it was easy to manipulate a little bit. And so when we did that part, the particle size shrunk and all of a sudden it got through your skin. So that's how we were able to discover the first technology.
Right. So now going through the skin is going to go, is lymphatic? Is it going to go microcirculation? Where's the first entry point to be distributed throughout your body?
And that's the part that I had no idea either, right? You just said right now, the two most common thing that to send the whole body the nutrients you need is through the lymphatic system or the circulatory system. What we did not appreciate is there's something called cell-to-cell transfer. For example, if you stub your toe on a nail bed, you need the lymphatic or the circulatory system to tell your brain that there's something on your toes. Take the toe off the nail. There's a signaling molecule that happens from, and we think it's the nerve endings. The nerves are sending the signals, the synapses go straight to the brain and say, hey, brain, what should I do? I said, oh, take that foot off the nail. Boom, done. And within less than a second, your toes comes off the nail. This very same signaling molecule is going through cell to cell. And so I figured out that, hey, I don't need this in the bloodstream or a lymphatic system. I need this inside your cell. The glutathione is produced inside your cell by the mitochondria. And if it's produced in the mitochondria does not dump glutathione in the blood to transfer to the rest of the body. It is produced every cell in the body, but if whatever was more or less of it, it can transfer from cell to cell transfer to the lipid rafts. So I figured out that if that's the case, if I can somehow get inside one of the cells, then there's a potential that from cell to cell, there's a transfer mechanism happening. Again, I had no idea this was true or not, but when I first saw that happening in front of my eyes, that's when you see that. No, once you see it, you just cannot unsee it. And that's what happened to me. When you apply the glutathione on your hands, and all of a sudden, somebody said that, hey, I can think clearly now for the first time. So I don't know how that happened. I have no idea how that happened. One lady called me up the next morning and said, you know what? I just applied one dose the night before, and I kid you not, I probably had the best sleep I ever had in the last decade.
Cool.
And so when you see that part, then you start thinking, how is that happening? And so that's my second technology that we discovered, right? How to get inside your cell. And the cell can only accept nutrients that it needs to for the mitochondria of the cell to survive. And so there's a bunch of sugar or polysaccharide molecules that the body can accept it. and they use it up for ATP production. And so what we did was we took this polysaccharide molecule, this small ring-like structure, small ring, and since we already reduced the size of the glutathione, we stuffed it inside. When we stuff it inside, outside the shell, it's like sugar-type molecule. Inside is glutathione, and the body just sucked it up. And when it did that part, we now transported glutathione through the cell.
So this is a technology, an advanced technology that you're able to actually collapse or twist or compress the molecule itself so that it goes in, which is profound. So it goes into the skin, gets into the cells. It will go, does it do any interstitial fluid communication? Is that the way the cell to cell goes?
No, so every cell that's stuck together, there's something called lipid rafts. And it just transports from one to another. That's how they found out about COVID or the viruses. It's hard to kill those viruses because if it's inside your cell, it can transfer the whole body without getting exposed to the cytoplasm. If it doesn't get exposed to the outside the cell, all the antivirus, all the medications cannot touch it. That's why it replicates so fast.
Yeah, it could be any microbe. It doesn't need to be whatever they talk about. It's like any kind of infectious something that has energy.
Yes.
Because there's all kinds of bacteria and whatever as well, like yeast overgrowth, fungal infections. That's what I was dying from because I had this tumor that was basically accumulating it all, letting me know, hey, you're not detoxifying quickly enough. We have to build this thing to protect you. And if you don't deal with it, it's going to take you out. It's going to eat you alive. There's a living thing. So it took me 7 years to go through all the basic detoxes. Then I learned more advanced ones. But it took 7 years for my body to dissolve the tumor out of my body. And it took 5 years to get the heart disease to leave. It took 5.5 years. No, not quite 5.5. But it took time to do my liver because I had to take the stress off the body. So what I understand, like I'm by no means deep research on glutathione, but I've been dealing with it and it's teaching me what it does in my body, just like your patients are doing. But it's the communication factor, allowing the body to get the blockages out, that's blocking communication. And this cell-to-cell membrane thing is fascinating. This is the first time I've ever heard this because we have a transdermal magnesium product. This is one of a kind. We have to buy the most expensive raw material out of Europe. It takes us 12 hours to prepare it, to get it knocked into a state where it can actually get through your skin because otherwise it just sits there.
That's right.
And then once it gets in the body, we know that it stores in the tissue, but it must be also being able to get in the cell because it immediately changes the person's mood and feel, and the stiffness goes away, and they get into parasympathetic autonomic system. It's just I'm learning about this now. I'm getting a little bit deeper in the engineering side. So this is a very big deal. I've never heard. Is anybody else talking about this cell membrane to cell membrane?
No, not yet. Because the thing is something like this doesn't exist at this point. And so we are trying to put this message out there for people, for more researchers to collaborate at this point because, hey, this is not a one-person job. I've been pushing the boulder up the hill for all these years by myself with no funding and nobody supporting at this point besides my family. And so I'm talking about this thing very openly and very candidly because I want people to collaborate and learn and see, hey, what else can we do with this technology? How else can it do? When it comes to magnesium, so the magnesium can have a dual effect because what magnesium does, it conducts electricity. And so it may not have a direct impact when it comes to transfer from cell to cell, but what it does is that it makes your conduction of electricity much more efficient. And that signaling can go all over the body and cause muscle relaxation so fast.
Yes.
And so so again, we don't know how it works. I just know you can feel that it's working, but knowing the how and the why is more important to me than what. Because
that's right. The why is the biggest one.
Yeah. If you know how and why, we can reciprocate. We can use that system to do other things as well.
Right. So when it comes to, I'm always very conscious about the importance for people to invest their time, their energy, their effort, and their money in themselves, because they want to get healthy. They're trusting people like you and me to bring the things that are going to give them the biggest return on the investment without any side effects other than feeling really good.
Yeah.
But getting the body, like you mentioned earlier, back to its original blueprint, to what it knows itself to be, that the body got off the rails a little bit or more and more. If you have a target 10 miles out, which is like 10 years, and you're standing there and you are bang on the bullseye, and there's no wind or anything like that, you're going to hit that bullseye.
Yes.
But if you're only 1 degree off, which is very easy to be 1 degree off,
yep,
it's 875 feet off target in 10 miles.
Wow.
It's a skyscraper. So we are either supporting our body to be on a gentle incline where it's getting a little bit healthier every day, or we're on a gentle decline and it's 875 feet different between the top and the bottom. So I guess you would divide that in half for the bullseye. But the point is, it's a very significant thing. And we're just talking about making gentle adjustments. It's not going to break the bank account. It's an investment, not an expense. And that's the old adage anyway. But I'm not trying to beat a dead horse. The point is, though, we are all investing time, energy, and effort more than anything. Because money is only just a chunk of energy that is going to allow that growth to happen within the society we live in. So it's an investment. And the really cool thing I love about this product is it takes me, I would say, about 30 seconds, because I'll spray it on my inside of my arm, because that's what you guys showed me to do. I don't know if there's a better way. And then I just move it around very smooth, and then it gets sticky, and I just do that until it dries up, and then it's in. It's very little effort.
So I do my arms too. I do my arms because it's easier on my arms. I also do on my belly. It depends, right? I tend to use a lot more than recommended dose. And I only use a recommended dose when I'm home, but I'm always out and about. I'm just always lecturing, traveling, educating, and my stress levels are pretty high. And so I tend to use double, triple dose when I'm traveling. But when I'm coming back to home, I go back to the regular dosing as well. I apply on my belly because it's large surface area.
Now, when you put it on your tummy, you just wipe it around with your hand, or you just let it sit there?
No, I wipe it around with my hand. I basically wipe it down until it's completely dry. It takes about 30 seconds to up to 2 minutes sometimes. If I'm sweating, then it will never dry, of course, because it needs to have completely dry. So I usually do it the first thing as I wake up, the first thing that I do. But if I do some exercise, then if I sweat, then the whole thing becomes very sticky. But then I go take a shower anyways. So as long as from the application to the shower time is about 1 hour, 45 minutes to 1 hour, I'm okay with it. And so that's what I do.
Right, so first thing in the morning is the best to kind of set your day. And so if you're under a lot of stress and traveling, could you do it 2 or 3 times a day? Is that the idea? Or do you just do 2 or 3 times as much?
I don't have time for 2 or 3 times per day. So 3 times per day. So I only do twice a day, but I'll apply a lot more for each dose. Typically, dose is about 4 sprays twice a day. I would go up to 8 or 12 sprays sometimes, depending on if I'm in a nicer hotel, then it's much easier because there's no mold in there. The air filter systems are pretty good. The water's pretty good over there. But if I'm staying in an older hotel, there's always mold in those hotels. It's just not nice. If there's carpet in the room, I know for a fact there's mold in the and so my extremely pretty high at that point.
Yeah, definitely. So it's based on just stacking stressors. You have to stack the amount of glutathione. Now, the one I have is the GRX with the little blue plus sign.
Yeah.
So this is the strongest one?
There's a stronger version of that one too. It's not released in the United States yet. It's in my lab for the last 10 to 15 years. And I'm not sure if I'm ever going to release that part. But the plus is the strongest one in the market today. More is not better, Ian. Let me just tell you, more is not better, okay? I use more because I have to when I'm traveling, but the right amount is all you need. And keep in mind, improving glutathione levels is a marathon, not a sprint. It's slow and steady, part of your habit. It's like, the thing is that I always ask the question, when my family asked me, I said, how important is this? I said, let me just tell you, do you brush twice a day, every day? I said, yes. I said, let me tell you, glutathione is more important if not 2 or 3 times more important than brushing your teeth every single day.
Mm-hmm.
And so
it's a must-have. It's what I would
must have. I'd rather you don't brush one day. I'm not saying that you don't do that part, but I'm just saying that if you forget that one day, it's okay. But if you forget glutathione, it is not okay because your body needs that support, especially if you're over the age of 40. Your body needs the support every single day, trying to bring back to homeostasis. And the thing is, as we start aging, our body is changing. And as the body changes, there'll be a point of no return. There'll be a point that you got disease and there's no way you're going to go back to what you were built to do in the early 20s.
Right.
And so my goal is that if you're not reached that point, that there's a chance I can take you back to a 20, 25-year-old person again. Right?
Sure. Yep.
And so that's my whole idea is, and to get there, it's not going to happen overnight. It's not going to happen over 6 months, but it's going to take years to do that part. But every time you do that part, you get success stories, you feel better, you'll do more. You can only do more if you're getting someplace, right?
Now, if a person is over the threshold, so to speak, say they're 85, everything's caught up with them, they're suffering a lot. What will the benefits be for that person in that condition?
This will be the right time for me to share a story with you. I share the story usually as my end the podcast, but I'll share it right now because it's very relevant today. So my father, at the age of 77-ish, 78-ish, he had type 2 diabetes for 30 plus years, arthritis for another 30 plus years, blood pressure issues, a little bit on the heavier side, not obese at all, by all means, but didn't watch his diet, and just like a typical father that has lived his life, and now he thinks that, he's 77, 78, he says, you know what, I lived my whole life. It's okay if I die soon, right? And so he's surviving, not living his life. Okay. But at the same time, he started to shortness of breath. And as he said, I'm not feeling good right now. So we did an EKG. EKG was not normal. And so the doctor scheduled an angiograph at that point. And when we did the angiograph, the main artery was 100% blocked. And the doctor could not believe that he's still alive today, right? Put a stent right away, just one stent, put the stent right away. And all the pressure went away. He felt so good, relieved. But then, of course, when he left the hospital a day later, is a slew of medication, right? The blood thinners and the cholesterol medications and the change of blood pressure pills and all kinds of things, right? And my dad goes, I didn't have any of these problems before. Should I take all this medication? And I said, you don't have cholesterol issues, so I will not take any cholesterol pills, but the blood thinner you need for at least for the next 3 months because you put a stent in, that's a medical device. So you don't want to get clogged up over there. So I'll take it for 3 months and then you can stop it after that. But anyways, this person at the age of 77 was not living his life. He was just surviving. About this time, I discovered the glutathione in my lab. It's about 3 years into my research, and I have not given to any patients yet because I'm still trying to figure things out and what I'm going to do with it. And he said, Dad, it's a good time to start your new regimen. So he was my patient number 1. I started using the product, and like a good son I am, I forgot about him completely. I didn't keep up with his progress at all. 2 years later, I was sitting on a dinner table with him one day and just noticed him eating away sugars and carbs and whatnot. And says, Dad, what are you doing? You're diabetic. You should be just take control because you have no idea what it takes to deal with the end stage problem after diabetes kicks in. Because, oh no, my sugar levels are fine. Look at my blood test. I said, what? Well, let me see. And yeah, 6 months in a row, he did 2 checkups. Both were completely normal. His 3 months average blood sugar was absolutely normal. Has never been this way before. But we are Indians, and for Indians, the issue is not the fasting sugar or the A1C levels. It's the postprandial sugar, which is 2 hours after you eat, because we're all vegetarians. We eat a lot of carbs, and so that's not the problem. So let's measure 2 hours after you eat. I said, I know what you're going to tell me. So your brother, but my brother's also a pharmacist. So he goes, your brother already told me to check it because I know you're going to ask this question to me. So he pulled his meter out and said 14-day average was normal for postprandial sugar levels. This is after breakfast, after lunch, after dinner. All those things were normal. I said, wait a second. I said, this is crazy. I've never seen this before. I still did not thought about glutathione at all because guess what? I forgot that I gave him glutathione. He was using it every day, But I forgot about it. I had no idea how this is improving so much. I said, hey, Dad, I know all this is great. Make sure you walk every single day. 30 minutes per day is all I need for you to do brisk walking. Go with your friends and everybody that's outside and make sure you continue doing that part. He goes, 30 minutes? He was so proud about this thing, right? He put his app out and said, look at my steps per day. He was walking 6 miles a day, every day.
Wow.
6 miles. I said, Dad, we have a car nowadays. You don't have to walk so much either. But he says that I feel so good. He has 3 friends groups that he walks with them a couple miles with each friends because they will be fizzled and they will leave. And then there's another friend's joy and so forth. So he has 3 friends groups that he walks 6 miles per day. But that's a whole day. It's not just one time, right? He walks about 4 or 5 miles in the morning and another mile after dinner in the evening. So that's every day. I said, this is crazy. And I said, but you have arthritis, but there's no pain in his joints and knees and every single thing. So I said, okay, this is nuts. I still did not think about glutathione until another few years goes by. And then he comes to me and said, hey, my hips are not aligned properly. I went to a chiropractor. He says that my knees are buckling up and he should get knee replacement surgery done. I said, okay. So we went to the orthopedic surgeon. I said, well, let's do the x-rays to find out for knee replacement done. When I checked the x-ray out, we're completely deformed. After for 40 years, all the knees are completely deformed. I said, oh my God, this is crazy. And you're walking 6 miles per day and no pain? I said, the pain is just not there. He feels that there's something going on, but there's no pain. There's no inflammation either. And so the doctor suggested we can do the surgery for sure. And my dad goes, oh, he's already 84. I says, can I do both the knee at the same time? And the doctor says, oh, you're 84 years old. It's going to be hard for recovery. 6 months of his issues. You can go to the bathroom. There's going to be a lot of problems. I suggest we do one knee at a time. And he goes, Dad goes, no, just tell me what to do. I'll prepare myself. I want to do both the knee at the same time because I can't go through the pain twice at this age. So he convinced the doctor to do both the knees. He got a bike for himself, started bicycling in his room so he gets his quads pretty strong. The doctor recommended 30 minutes per day. Of course, he's an overachiever. 30 minutes twice a day is what he did every single day for 30 days. So quads got stronger. He was already in testosterone replacement therapy, so he was already building his muscle mass a little bit. So everything got better. Did the surgery, both the knee replacements at the same time. A day and a half later, he walked outside the hospital. Painful. Granted, it was very painful, but he was walked outside the hospital within 2 days. Did his physical therapy. Within 30 days, he was walking around the house within a block. By the end of 3 months, he was walking 2 miles per day.
Wow.
And of course, he wouldn't go to the doctors again. He called me and said, hey, let's take you to the doctors again. Went there, did the x-ray again. Everything was normal. And he only had one question to the doctor. Doctor, you said that you cannot travel, but I'm doing good. Can I travel? The doctor says, I don't see why not. And guess what? I said, thank God, because I already booked the tickets to India for next week. So that was his original goal, to go to India at a particular time of the year. And so he was doing everything possible to recover as fast as possible, right? Around that time, the very first time I noticed that the scar was almost gone because he was using the glutathione on the scar itself. And that's when I first realized that, oh my God, you've been using glutathione all this time. I said, yeah, the glutathione has been working really good. My energy levels are high. I feel good. I said, that's when I first time realized at the age of 85 that he was using glutathione for the last 6 or 7 years. It's like I was in my own research, doing with my own patients, but your number one patient, my dad, I forgot about him. Right? It was so sad.
Because he stopped complaining and started doing.
Yeah, he stopped complaining, exactly. And then the years goes by. Last year I was in India traveling. So, by the way, from 78 to 89, that 11 years, he went 13 overseas trips. My mom passed away 25 plus years ago, so he's single. Okay, keep in mind, he's single. He does everything on his own. He doesn't need any help. He travels on his own. He goes everywhere. He has a house in a couple of places in the world, so he will travel on his own. And he takes care of himself. No food. He'll take care of the food, going back and forth, taxis, whatever. Doesn't really matter. Anything he needs, he's very self-sufficient. And so he was traveling the world. He made 13 trips overseas. He went to New Zealand to walk the glacier mountains over there. He did Australia for a hiking trip. He went to Yosemite National Park with the whole family for a hiking trip. He doesn't hike all the way, but he just walks whatever he can. Went to Hawaii with us these are all above and beyond his own 13 other trips that he does. Right? He came to Hawaii with us for excursion trip. Went to Costa Rica for a 10-day excursion trip with all those young buds like me, right? So I went to Alaska. Everywhere anything that was on the bucket list, he did it. Right? He did it. Last year, he wanted to go to Yellowstone. I says, Dad, we couldn't get to Yellowstone. So this year, 2025, we're going to Yellowstone. And so I was looking for all those things. It was just amazing, right? He just travels the world. And last year, he was still in India, traveling the world, eating street food. I said, Dad, don't eat street food. You know what happens to street food. I said, yeah, I got diarrhea a little bit. I got loose bowel movements. And that persisted for 3 or 4 days. By the 4th day, he got dehydrated. And he fell in the shower.
No way.
Got a cut over here on the back of his head, and it was bleeding internally a little bit, right? And so I said, oh, shoot, this is going to be a disaster. Right away, he was in the hospital. I get a call. I said, he called me from the hospital. I said, hey, I'm fine. I know my memory. I have no issue with the memory. I can see, I can feel, everything is okay. I know the doctor at NFL over here, a neurosurgeon. He works with the NFL. I said, hey, my dad just fell down and he has a broken skull. I said, oh, shoot. I said, is he coherent? Is he alive? Is he conscious? Is he have memory issues, eye issues? I said, everything is normal. I said, don't do any surgery. Don't operate. Just give me a couple of hours. Within 2 hours, he had a neurosurgeon in India visiting my dad. He made some phone calls and found out somebody to go visit my dad. Got the report back, said that the dad's okay. There's some internal bleeding going on. Hopefully they'll stop in the next 2-3 days. But there's no surgery required because there's nothing we can do with the surgery. He's cognizant, coherent, no memory loss. Everything is fine. My dad heard the story. He said, I told you, I'll be fine. Don't worry about it. He started calling his brother. He's called his sister. I said, hey, I just fell down, but I'm okay. I'll be fine. I'm getting too late at night. So I said, I'll call you back tomorrow. Goes to sleep and never wakes up again.
Wow.
And I tell the story. And by the way, just to let you know, we are going to Yellowstone this year in his memory. We are taking his picture with us. We have a small little ashes that we have stored for him that we're going to spread out in Yellowstone and say, hey, Dad, you are here. But the last 11 to 13 years of his life, was he surviving or was he living his life? And that's the thing. Yes, when he did his surgery for the knee replacement, his diabetes came back. That's the only time his sugar levels elevated for about 3 to 4 months. After that, he was back to normal again. So the disease doesn't go away. It becomes dormant. It doesn't go away. But he lived his life to the fullest. Anything he wanted to do, he did it. Absolutely did it. At the age of 86, 87, who would go to the national park, Yosemite National Park, and do hiking trips? And so all I can tell people is that your body is made so magnificently that it has the capacity to heal itself. We are always trying to meddle in our own affairs, and we try to get in the way. Reduce your exposure to toxicity, reduce your exposure to food that doesn't heal from inside. Improve the necessary nutrients in your body that is building your body, the amino acids that helps build the peptides like glutathione and other peptides. Do all those things. And if you do that, what's 89? I'm talking about 180. And you can still be alive and kicking and enjoying life. And that's, to me, is the ultimate gift I can give it to myself, is to allowing my body to do what it's supposed to do. What is designed to do that for us.
Yes, if we extend life, we don't extend death. The other paradigm is extending death to keep people here longer, but they suffer more. We're talking about here longer, suffer less until the suffering is non-existent.
Yeah.
And there are other support mechanisms that we now know about that are able to recirculate and also eliminate through mechanical treatments that take everything out of the body and completely heal. If I would have been able to meet you and your dad when he was talking to the doctor about his knees, I have a way to completely support, not heal, support the body's ability to completely build the knees back to its original, regardless of deformation, regardless of lack of cartilage, synovial fluid. It re-stimulates the body with stem cells that are you produce, not that you inject, and the peptides and the hormones and the whatever other things are in our body, which are miraculous, to be able to put the body back to its original. And I've experienced it personally. I've helped people, hundreds and hundreds of people, do this and show them. And the interesting thing, it doesn't cost any money, but it takes a bank account full of courage because the treatments release pain and therefore the treatment is painful. But then you go back to the same area, do the treatment a year later, 5 years later, 10 years later, nothing happens with the same treatment. So these are things that are now being released to us. They've been around forever.
Yep.
But the glutathione availability has not been around forever. This is a very new, advanced form of the master antioxidant and what I would call a significant master key, because it's removing an entire set of problems, not remedying them, getting rid of the problem.
The thing is, it's two things. We always coin the term as an antioxidant, which is by far is the most powerful thing that we can do for our body. But it's also a master conjugator, which means it eliminates toxic chemicals, metabolites, heavy metals outside your liver and get rid of it. It's like a garbage disposal for the body. Just keeps on dumping everything outside the body all the time for us. That's what we need, because it's not like we're going to stop exposing our body to environmental toxins, but we have to process it and really get rid of it.
Now, can you implant this in the bowel and have it go up to the liver?
I'm sorry, one more time. You implant the glutathione?
Yeah, can you implant it in an enema style? Like once you clean the colon out with an enema, can you implant it in liquid? Will it get up into the liver and distribute there?
So it doesn't have to do any of those things. The technology that we have developed, it can get straight from your skin to any part of the body.
So you don't even need to worry about implanting. The fact that we wipe it on and then move it around and then it gets sticky and dry, the dryness is what then drives it in, or what is the actual mechanism?
So when it comes to it dries up, that's when you know the cells are sucking things up as time goes. So within 30 seconds to a couple of minutes, the cells are literally sucking all this glutathione up from your skin. And once it's gone, it completely dries up. And
so it's in the system.
It's in the system. If it gets sticky again, which it can happen because if you get sweating, you get sticky again, that's just a sugar molecule that's getting sticky. And so, yes, certain things can stay in your skin because not everything 100% gets absorbed. So something gets in your skin. And so that keeps on lingering on a little bit. But I would say 80-90% of the product is already in your body. Used. Yeah.
You know, the reason I asked about the implant is that I've learned quite a bit about coffee enemas, where people put coffee in there and it's supposed to, as far as I understand, go up to the ganglia and stimulate glutathione production in the liver.
Well, the research shows that it can do that part and it can increase up to 600% of glutathione levels. But in reality is that proximity has nothing to do with the glutathione levels in your body. Because to make glutathione, you need few things, right? You need 3 amino acids, 2 enzymes, 2 molecules of ATP, and 1 molecule of NAD. What coffee enema is doing is just providing the energy. So we still need everything else to make the glutathione. And so the key is, if you're getting older, you can stick as much coffee enema as you want. You'll never be able to meet up with your whole body's demand. And I get these questions, if not probably at least once a week. I said, if you enjoy giving enemas to yourself, go for it. Oh, that's something's good. It does help increase your bowel movement and something that might be a good benefit to it. But if you're doing it to improve glutathione levels, stop it.
You're wasting your time because there's a more efficient way. Now,
exactly. There's a lot more efficient way to do.
Right. Now, you mentioned NAD, the amino acids. Now, in the product itself, Is this the raw materials your body uses to produce and transfer glutathione, or is this got glutathione straight up?
So it's the glutathione straight up. So this is the first technology in the world. It's, for example, Ian, if you tell me that, hey, I need money to survive, but I can only work maybe 4 hours a day. I cannot work more than 4 hours a day. But your needs are there that it requires you to work 8 hours a day to survive. But you can only work for 4. So what you need is the four hours worth of work. Now, without doing the work, you still need the money. So I can give you all the job opportunity I can give you, but if you cannot work, you're not going to make any money. So what you really need is the really hard cold cash coming in your wallet every single month. So that's what glutathione is. It's the hard cold cash that your body needs to survive because the body is not able to produce anymore. Or the body is able to produce, but not able to meet up with all the demands. So the demands are much higher. The other way is, let's say you can work 8 hours a day. But in order for you to survive, the amount of money you need requires for you to work 10 hours a day. But you can only work 8 hours a day. So that's the same thing. So your needs are far more than what your body can produce. And so in that case, you need something that can directly give to your body to use up. And you can give all the building blocks, but the body goes, well, I can get this from anywhere. What I really need is something that I can use up right now.
A fuel.
So this is the only product in the world that gives you what your body needs to use up now.
And it's a concentrated dose. Now, if a person is very low in glutathione and very low in NAD, which is very typical as a person is aging, is there a phase where you could replete faster and then drop back down to a maintenance dose, or not?
So I can tell you my personal story in this one. It's a very short story. I've been using glutathione for 5 or 6 years. And last year, some lab testing company wanted to test me. I said, hey, Nayan, you should test this thing. It's just a blood drop. Just drop a few drops of blood. And you can check all your metabolic markers, your glutathione levels, everything. I'll check for everything for you for $500. And I said, okay, I'll spend $500 and figure things out because I want to learn, right? So I spend the money, got the test, get everything done. And the test showed my glutathione levels were low. And I called the CEO of the company. I said, you know what? Your test is wrong. I know my glutathione levels are not low. And he goes, let's not blame the machines because the machine's job is just to test. The machine's job is not to interpret or it does not know who you are. That's why. It's just the test. So instead of blaming the machine, let's figure out what's going on in your life. Because just because your levels are low, that does not mean that you're low. And for the first time, I realized that part, that what we were measuring, it was a 72-page report. And what we found out was all my glutathione metabolites were high. That I was taking internally was getting used up. For example, if I give you $10,000 and you have nothing left over, but you have $10,000 worth of goods in your house, the money was well spent. And so I was taking the glutathione and all my glutathione was getting used up, and I have all this metabolites to show that, hey, my glutathione is being used up. And when it was getting used up, the glutathione was getting used up, what it showed were all my metabolic markers were low. Every one of them. Anything that is supposed to be oxidized, that gets oxidized as you age, didn't exist for me. So everything that I was taking was actually doing work and to reversing all my aging process. But the levels were still low. And so that's when the first time I realized that, okay, it's not about having glutathione levels high or low, normal or low. It's what is it doing to the body, right? What if if I took more glutathione than I needed? Well, the body works faster. It could potentially, but the body can only work at a certain speed. And if you try to speed up the process, it can give you some kind of reactions. So as I said earlier, giving glutathione is a marathon, not a sprint. Slow and steady every day, slow changes over time is much more beneficial than trying to give a big whopping dose in one day and try to fix everything in one day. It doesn't exist. But hey, if you have an infection, if you have a viral infection right now and you don't knock it out of the park, yes, go to apply every 4 hours for a day or two. Once everything is gone, normal, go back to twice a day application, a low concentration. It's good enough.
It's just the analogy of the $10,000 is interesting because what I saw happen lifetime when we started our business, the initial investment was $700,000 to get everything beginning.
Got it.
Then that generated $100 million. And then we took 35 million of that and put it into things. We don't have the 700,000 anymore. We don't have the 35 million anymore, but we have massive resources that are now serving people. So it's the same thing as the glutathione is doing so many things in the background. It is building your asset value inside your body.
That's right.
And all the systems now are running at a much higher level. And it's like with the magnesium that we have, if you put it in, it stores in the tissue like a little bank account. So you can have it to draw on when you need it. Because you can only use, like you said, a very small amount. You don't want too much of anything. You want just the right amount. It's just, so that's a very good thing to know. So as time goes on and you build up this energy, you have your systems coming online better, your body can recirculate that fuel or that currency, I guess we could call it. Will it recirculate within your body where you need less and less as time goes on? Or do you have to keep putting this stuff in?
That's a great question, because that was my first question that I asked myself. Do I have to do this for the rest of my life? Because I don't want to. Personally, I don't want to myself either. But at the same time, our needs are every single day, because you breathe oxygen every single second of your life. Right. So the oxidation is always happening. Always happening. Oxidative stress doesn't have to exist, because your body can neutralize oxidation by glutathione. But if you don't have enough, over time you'll develop stress. And that's the root cause of all evil or all diseases in the body. Mm-hmm. So the unfortunate part is the body is going to need glutathione for the rest of its life. Now, the body does recycle glutathione. And so the key is, if we can limit the use of glutathione just for oxidation from breathing oxygen, that part of the glutathione gets recycled. The other part of the glutathione, where it gets used up to conjugate to metabolize some chemicals and metabolize from the liver, that's a one-way process. It gets used up. So those have to keep on replenishing. So if you change your diet, and if you don't drink alcohol, and you limit your exposure to abnormal toxins, your need for glutathione will drop. And the other glutathione that you have abundance of is recycling itself. So over time, you may be getting away with just once a day application.
Right, so if a person is abusing their body because of social conditioning, drinking alcohol, doing things that are obviously toxic, not being watching what the food they're eating and breathing polluting air, they take this, and this will actually begin to compensate for that overload in spite of the fact that they're abusing their bodies. Now, I don't suggest anybody to abuse their body. I haven't touched alcohol. I was never a big alcohol person to start with, but I stopped even just a glass of wine back in May of 2019. And I just started feeling better and better into the future. I don't like the effects of alcohol anyway. I don't get along with it. It never really served me. But this kind of thing, but I see this as a breakthrough for people who are very conscious about eliminating everything abusive and then bringing this in. It's going to allow the body to continue to thrive into the future. And the one thing I've learned about, and I've been looking at this since 2008, and when I first heard it, it was pretty controversial to me because of my conditioning. And it's the body's ability to recycle through a very specific system that your body produces that would normally be called a waste product.
Yes.
And so we obviously know our bowel movements are very waste, that you got to keep that moving out. And that's a lot of toxicity, a lot of junk, a lot of dead blood that got used up because we're all producing good amounts of fresh blood. The other recycling thing, and I'm not going to get into what that is right now, but I've been recycling that particular product that is not waste at all. And I've noticed that I don't need nearly as much supplementation as I used to, because I was losing all that value without realizing that my body was converting that into my body's own pharmacy. So now I don't waste a drop of that, and all of it gets recycled. So this is a very interesting experiment, because our lives are an experiment, really. Yeah, and we don't want to do something that could have a very significant, dangerous side effect. I'm not into that. And I don't like healing crisis. I want to be in equilibrium and just gently getting forward motion all the time in every system. So the glutathione, from what I'm gathering of your conversation, is that it is supporting every single system, because there's 15 major operating systems that rely on each other like a chain that has 15 links. And if a link is weak, it could break and you die.
That's right.
But it will strengthen every link that strengthens every link. Is that a good analogy?
That's exactly right. Exactly right. Yes. It starts with the weakest link first and then start getting strengthening everybody else around it too.
Right. So it's actually, I'm not even concerned about length of life anymore. I'm only interested in today, where we are on this call right here, right now. How healthy are we? And in the next moment, are we slightly healthier in every category? The next moment after that, we're slightly healthier. And then that continues on. Therefore, you have no concern about the body passing away, because you're getting a higher quality of life every day into the future. That's why from this moment forward, I'm going to call this a master key. It might even be called a master key. In other words, the master keys that remove the problem are all supported at once by one single thing. And I've found two other master keys, and this is the third one. I think I've been led to speak to you, just like I asked 21 years ago when I was dying. I asked out loud, I said, I know I can't find you, because I would never know where to look. If I met you, I wouldn't even know who you are. And so I asked to be led to people like yourself, and be given ears to hear what you had to say, given eyes to see who you are,
of course.
No prejudging, right? Just open, and then be willing to do whatever it takes. So if you show me something, because you've got, and you're not just an expert, there's experts. There's a billion experts, right? But you are a deeply skilled expert. That's a big difference, because you've been on the ground watching, because you're a doctor and you have had patients and you have people you're supporting, and you're seeing that physical change, because you can't fake the body.
No, you cannot.
And the body's, right? The body is measurable. The term biohack, I don't really, because it sounds hackish, but if we're going to use that term, it would be how to accurately measure the body where it is really at.
Yeah.
And then that's a measurable thing, whether it's through biofeedback or blood tests or
whatever. Yep. True.
Yep.
Amazing. No, thank you. Yeah, because I'm not a big fan of the word hack either, because we're not trying to hack anything. We just figured out a more simpler way to live and to enhance our body's experience.
Mm-hmm. That's right. And being open to the fact that these things exist. I learned over the years that there's only one actual goal for when it comes to health. It's called perfect health. That's it. Just perfect health. Why would I set a goal any lower than that?
True.
I personally can't achieve perfect health on my own. I can say it all I want. But the more that I set that goal, the more tools, protocols, modalities show up to support that. I can't take credit for any of them. Just you don't even take credit for what you're doing, because you were shown these things and you saw it work and you went, oh, okay, let's work on that. That's a really big, important thing. How do we get this into the body and get it usable? Don't put it in the mouth. Don't swallow it. Right? Don't inject it in the blood. It's much simpler through the skin. And there are breakthroughs now that pair with this very well. We have a breakthrough product like nothing else I've ever seen on the earth. One subject I've studied is NAD. And there's all kinds of expensive NADs, and people say with injectables and it's painful and it's awful. There is now a way to get NAD in the body efficiently, between 90 and 100% bioavailability. So it's going in the right pathway, and all of a sudden everything changes. So this is a pairing. I've been looking for the things that I've been open to, things that could pair with things to amplify them even more. So this is exciting.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. So now it's just a matter of us educating people about this so that they know we're not trying to convince them to do something. We're not trying to sell them on something. my job is to convince myself and sell myself on things, just like your job is to convince yourself and sell yourself, just like our listeners. Your job is to convince yourself based upon clear data, real evidence. And then you're enthusiastic on your own, not doing what we tell you to do, but doing what you tell you to do, and then seeing the results.
Yep.
Now, how do people find you? What's the best way?
Oh, my goodness. Yes. Well, the website that we have developed is Oro Wellness, AURO wellness.com. We also have the same technology plus skincare. Again, that's my for-profit endeavor because I still to survive and make some money doing that part. So I have Oro Skincare and Oro Wellness products on the website, or we do have doctors stock them in the offices and give to the patients regularly as well. So if your doctor stocks them, you can buy from them as well. But yeah, usually the website is the best place. And my dad's story is real. And if it resonates with you, you got to give a 30-day shot. 30 days is all it takes to see some benefit. Because once you see some benefit, there is no way that you can unsee it. And I cannot tell you enough on how many conferences I go to. And most of the conferences I go to is all physicians only. The doctors are coming up and telling me that, hey, this has changed my patient's life. This has changed my life. This is absolutely something that I've never envisioned. Any particular product that has such a profound impact, and we don't know what it's going to do. That's the secret part, right? Secretly, you don't know what's going to happen to you until you try it, because I haven't known what's going to happen to you.
Yeah, the only way you experience is by doing yourself.
Yeah.
So now, when it comes to interfacing, I noticed that your skin is perfect. Like it's actually perfect. So that's unusual. And so the skincare line, can you just give us a brief lowdown on that?
So skincare is the same thing, same technology. Skin is exposed to the environmental toxin the most. Sun exposure is the most. So the amount of oxidative stress in your skin is the highest. And so what I did was I took the glutathione, I combined that with vitamin C, CoQ10, carnosine, DMAE, resveratrol, cyclosporinol, all the things that's necessary to keep the skin healthy and reviving and regenerating all the time. I put everything into a 4-part system. 1 serum and 1 cream in the morning to take care of oxidative stress during the daytime. And at nighttime, 1 serum and 1 cream in the evening to basically repair and reset everything back to normal, because no matter how much I give in the morning, you're going to overexpose yourself, and there'll be some damage that I have to repair and reset every single night. And so the 4-part system, two parts in the morning, 2 in the evening, replaces every single thing. Now, besides those two, my skin is different today because about a couple of years ago, we have another peptide that I was working on, which is the GHK copper peptide. And we are releasing that product for the first time to the public. So until now, we've been given to the physicians only for the last couple of years. The results are great. They're not shabby. And so I said, you know what? I think the public deserves. This time, I'm coming much faster than glutathione did. The glutathione took me 10 years to launch the product. This has only been 2.5 years to launch the product. And so I'm getting faster and faster because in my mind, I want to make sure that the doctors approve the product first before I go to the public. So that's coming up as well. So you should be able to get that one as well pretty soon.
And that's the perfect place to test everything because there's nowhere to hide. The doctors are either going to see the results with their patients or not. And I've actually used that on some of our products as well to know, hey, what happens over there? Because they are very discerning.
That's right.
So this is super exciting. I can't wait to get some of your skincare. I was so focused on the Oro Wellness, this GRX at the booth. I didn't even look at anything else. I was like, I want that. So let's do that. Yeah. And this stuff lasts so long. I'm shocked at how, I bought that's just a 1 ounce bottle.
1 ounce bottle, supposed to last you 30 days if you use 4 sprays twice a day. But in your case, your needs are much less than average person probably. So it lasts you more than a month.
Right. Yeah, it's very affordable. It's a super investment, really, in the topical glutathione. So yeah, this is the breakthrough. This is the one that I've been waiting for. I was very excited to have the time to spend with you because we never really got to chat. I just met you briefly and said hi. I was talking to some of your people at the booth, but this is profound. I'm extremely enthused and want to be able to get this out to the world. So are you on Instagram at all?
Yes, it's at Oral Wellness or at Oral Skincare. They all have that for the company. My personal Instagram page is my private one. It's just, I don't post anything on that one. So it's, whatever I want to say, I want to go to the company itself. So that way it's open to the public.
Okay, very good. So I guess it's just a matter of connecting all the dots. I'll put a link below for people to get a hold of you and these different channels to get in touch with your company. And they can educate themselves online too, right? From just
yes, they can. And separate the newsletter. We do spend some time on the newsletter as well. Yes.
Okay, lovely. This is cool. Where do you live right now?
I live in Southern California, in Orange County.
Oh, you mentioned that. So you're like San Diego, Orange County?
No, Orange County, north of San Diego, yes.
Oh, okay. Yeah, Orange County. Yes, yeah. So one of my favorite stomping grounds. I'm going to be down there in about a week. Yeah, so I definitely want to get connected up with everything and then get this out to the audience because people, this is exactly what they're looking for. You just totally nailed this thing. And I've seen so many other glutathiones where you swish and you spray and all that stuff. I've seen a little bit, but I never really noticed anything, unfortunately.
Yeah, they don't absorb. None of them absorb. Even the injectable form doesn't absorb. So that's the part that's very discouraging. And so this technology is so different and far more superior. Just apply and you're done and just get the results you're looking for. It's an absolute no-brainer.
Yeah, so the production capacity you can increase as time goes on. You've launched it in the last couple of years, right? 3 years?
Yes, and that's one thing that I'm so grateful about my family because this was going to be such an expensive product to begin with. And so the only way I can reduce the cost on is bring the manufacturing in-house. So we built the whole manufacturing plant in California, FDA registered. And so that way we can reduce the cost down. So now we go straight from manufacturers to the consumers and straight up. So there's no middleman except for a physician. That's it.
Right. Yeah, you have a professional line. So you've eliminated all that extra cost in between.
Yeah, those
that's really good.
Nothing. There's no other cost.
Beautiful. Okay. That's exactly the way we did our entire company from day one. Because we're a primary manufacturer, FDA registered, audited, CGMP, and the whole list. Health Canada is up here in Canada. What year were you born, just for interest?
1971.
Okay, so you're 13 years younger than me. So I turned 67 in about a month. So yeah, we're just getting going.
Oh, we just started. I just started right now.
Yeah.
Exciting.
Yeah, this is super cool. All right. Well, thank you for investing so much of your time today. And thank you for the listeners, for investing your time to educate yourself about this. All right. Well, we're going to sign off and look forward to our next interaction.
Thank you.